TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel tells the IAEA that it prefers a diplomatic solution to Iran's nuclear aspirations. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz concludes a visit to India after meeting with his counterpart Rajnath Singh and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan instructs his government to no longer hold bilateral talks with Athens as tensions simmer. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett hosted IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi in Jerusalem this morning, during which the Israeli premier expressed Israel's deep concern regarding Iran's continued progress toward achieving nuclear weapons, while deceiving the international community by using false information and lies. Bennett further emphasized the urgent need in mobilizing the international community to take action against Iran using all means in order to prevent the Islamic Republic from achieving nuclear weapons. The Prime Minister also stressed Israel's support for the IAEA, carrying out its mandate vis-à-vis Iran in a professional and independent way. Moreover, Bennett sought to clarify Jerusalem's position, as part of which it prefers diplomacy in order to deny Iran the possibility of developing nuclear weapons. Nevertheless, if diplomacy fails, Israel reserves the right to self-defense and to action against Iran in order to block its nuclear program, should the international community not succeed in the relevant time frame. Meanwhile, the Israeli Navy concluded a drill in the Red Sea yesterday as part of the IDF's month-long Chariots of Fire multi-sector exercise. The vessels partaking in the drill included the recently integrated Class 5 corvettes Khanit and Kidon, which operated in formation alongside the strategic Dolphin-class submarine Tanin. As part of the naval drill, the IDF spokesperson's unit noted in a statement that the vessels conducted joint missions aimed at achieving maritime superiority while simultaneously maintaining freedom of action in the region and increasing the area of operation of the Israeli Navy. And while Commander-in-Chief of the Israeli Navy, Vice Admiral David Sal Salma, placed emphasis on the Israeli Navy's continued efforts to strengthen its operational capabilities and widening its area of operations, a senior naval officer underscored to TV7 the strategic significance of maintaining freedom of operation in the Red Sea at a time when Jerusalem's arch-enemy, namely the Islamic Republic of Iran, is repeatedly disrupting maritime shipping throughout the region. Turning to India, where Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz concluded a series of meetings, including with his Indian counterpart Rajnath Singh and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Upon arrival in New Delhi, Jerusalem's top defense official attended an honor guard at the National War Memorial Monument, after which Gantz was hosted by his counterpart Singh for a lengthy meeting at the Indian Defense Ministry, during which a joint vision of future security cooperation was adopted, as Jerusalem and New Delhi mark 30 years of warm diplomatic relations and defense cooperation. Among others, global strategic developments and deepening military and defense industry cooperation were also discussed, at the culmination of which a new cooperation agreement to expand on joint research, development, and production was signed. Subsequently, on Thursday, Defense Minister Gantz met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during which Jerusalem's top defense official emphasized the need to further deepen the robust security and economic cooperation between Israel and India, which would strengthen global stability and the joint values which New Delhi and Jerusalem share. Turning to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where a fifth joint ministerial meeting for a strategic dialogue of member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council in Russia concluded, at the culmination of which the GCC collectively proclaimed that it refuses to sanction Moscow, all the while highlighting the necessity to deepen cooperation with Russia on matters crucial for global and regional stability, with chief focus on food security. It is important to explain that Russia and Ukraine account for roughly 1/3 of the global wheat exports, with the majority of countries in the Middle East and North Africa heavily reliant on grain imports from those two countries. Among others, Egypt alone imports roughly 80% of its wheat from Russia and Ukraine, Lebanon imports a little over 60%, and Syria imports all of its wheat from Russia exclusively. And while Russia has been accused of blocking Ukraine from exporting its wheat, Moscow's top diplomat insisted during his visit to the Gulf that Russia continues to guarantee the free export of Ukrainian grain by maritime routes. Ukraine vehemently refuted Lavrov's statement as a blatant lie. Moreover, Kiev accuses Moscow of stealing wheat from Ukraine and shipping it to its Mideastern ally Syria, describing the shipments as criminal activity. And while the Russian Defense Ministry did not immediately respond to TV7's request for comment, in April, the Kremlin denied the Ukrainian allegations of stolen wheat, stressing that it does not know where this information came from. Turning to Athens, where Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis hosted a Saudi delegation earlier this week, during which the Greek premier highlighted his keen aspiration to deepen relations between Athens and Riyadh.
You know how much importance we place in this relationship and how much more we think we can do on the business front. I had also the opportunity to discuss with His Royal Highness the conference last Thursday his upcoming visit to Greece, and of course he reiterated once more his commitment towards making sure that we have tangible results from this strategic partnership.
I carry, of course, the greetings of His Majesty the King, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and indeed the government and the people of Saudi Arabia who look at Greece with the highest respects and great expectations that under your leadership and the leadership of our King and Crown Prince, we're going to go to new heights.
Following this meeting, Greece and Saudi Arabia agreed to expand on economic and security cooperation. Among others, an agreement was struck during a subsequent Greek-Saudi business forum to collaborate on an €800 million project, as part of which a land and undersea cable will be erected for the purpose of creating a data link from Italy to Singapore. Turning to Ankara, where Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan instructed his government to no longer hold bilateral talks with Athens in the latest reversal after having resumed talks last year to address heightened tensions in the Aegean and the Eastern Mediterranean seas.
Türkiye ile dans etmeye kalkma. Yorulur, yolda kalırsın. Onun için de şu anda bu anlaşmayı ortadan kaldırmak suretiyle arkadaşlarıma da söyledim. Bunlarla artık ikili görüşmeleri de yapmıyoruz ve yapmayacağız.
Turkey and Greece, both NATO allies, have long been at odds over a host of issues such as maritime boundaries, the extent of their continental shelves, airspace, and ethnically split Cyprus. And while diplomacy to try and mend their differences resumed last year after a 5-year hiatus, those talks made little to no progress. Consequently, tensions exacerbated once again after President Erdogan announced last week that Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis no longer exists for him, accusing the Greek leader of trying to block sales of F-16 fighter jets to Turkey during a visit to the United States. Separately, President Erdogan also addressed Turkey's concerns regarding the joining of Sweden and Finland into NATO, claiming that neither Helsinki nor Stockholm had yet to provide Ankara with concrete assurances.
Niçin bu ülkelerin üyeliğine karşı olduğumuzu örnekleri ve gerekçeleriyle anlattık. Şu ana kadar da önümüze bizim ihtirazi kayıtlarımızı izale edecek somut herhangi bir belge konabilmiş değildir.
Earlier this week, during a visit by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to Stockholm, Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson sought to project confidence that any issues or misunderstandings with Turkey will be sorted out.
We have had discussions with and dialogue with Turkey, and this dialogue will continue going forward. And I'm looking forward to further constructive meetings together with Turkey in the near future. But our responses to demands and also questions from Turkey, we will take directly with Turkey, and also, of course, sort out any issues or misunderstandings that there might be.
It is important to know that Turkey seeks to gain assurances that Sweden and Finland would not sanction its defense industry once again, as Ankara is preparing to launch yet another military cross-border offensive into its southern neighbor Syria. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. TV7 Israel is a donation-based ministry, and therefore, if you're blessed by our productions, please consider making a financial contribution that in turn will enable us to sustain our ongoing operations. Separately, I would like to encourage you, pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide, in addition to our unceasing prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and we will see you again on Monday at the same time.